Hey everybody, it's Jason with Outdoor Adventures. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to look at my 2016 gear loadout. Now you can use this video in a couple different ways. One, you can use it as a standalone video for the Hammock trail system. Everything I'm about to show you I brought on that trip. Or you can just use it as a standalone video, maybe tweak your own setup, get some ideas, or just see what I'm carrying for my trips these days. Now, if you've been with the channel a while, you probably know the spiel here. This is not an ultralight setup. I'm almost there. I can almost call myself ultralight, if I don't include the camera gear at least. But I don't try to put labels on anything, so this is just what I carry. But really, I don't care if I'm ultralight or not. I just care that I'm comfortable and happy, really. So without further ado, let's dive into the pack. And actually, first off, let's show you what I was wearing while I was on the trail. Now, from the ground up, I start with these La Sportiva Wildcat shoes. This has been a great find this year. I could not be happier. These have been fantastic. I have absolutely no complaints. Excellent shoe. They're mesh, they're quick drying. Fantastic. On top of that, I usually wear these gaiters by Dirty Girl Gaiters, and what these allow me to do, it allows me to be comfortable with the material on my ankles. Also, it allows me to keep all the dirt and the grime and the rocks out of my shoes, because I hate taking my shoe off to get a rock out. So these save the day. They're 20 bucks, I think, and they feel really comfortable on your skin. Now, inside the shoes, I have a pair of Darn Tough Vermonts. Now, they're a hiker cushion sock, meaning they take a little bit longer to dry than your standard bicycle sock, but I prefer this these days just because my feet sometimes give me issues when I'm hiking high mileage, especially if the terrain is really rocky. These save the day. They take a little bit of time to dry out, but you know, pretty much on par with your standard athletic socks. And they're also a lifetime warranty. For boxers, I've tried these Champion C9s this year. Not sure that I like them. I'm still getting a little bit chafed, but I'm getting closer and closer. I've tried Ex Officio, I've tried Hanes, I believe, and I've tried these. People have referred me to Reeboks. I think I'm going to try those next. But these work very well. It's just, for my body type, for whatever reason, I'm still getting chafed in certain areas. So, and a new addition to this year, I used to wear the Columbia Silver Ridge long pants. They're also convertible pants. But I just found that hiking in athletic shorts like these Champion Vapor series shorts, it's really comfortable. Sometimes you'll get like stinging nettle on your legs, but it's not enough to warrant the comfort level and the happiness level that you get with just wearing a pair of athletic shorts. So, Champion Vapor shorts. Sticking with the Vapor theme, this is also a Champion Vapor shirt. I just wanted to try something different than the C9 series, and I kind of like this. It has a little bit better fit, and it's a little more breathable. It also dries a heck of a lot faster than my other shirts. So, again, Champion Vapor series. I love them. As far as trekking poles, these are new as of, I think, winter. These are the Black Diamond Carbon Fiber Distance Z poles. I like them. They're really light. And I think the only complaint is they're not adjustable, meaning most trekking poles have the flip lock system, and you kind of raise and lower them as you need, but they have this little blue cord that's kind of holding it all together. So they're just one length. They're 110 size, I think, centimeters or whatever it is, and that just works for me. No complaints really. I just wish they were a little more adjustable, but that's my fault. I wanted something really light that I could easily just do the stow on the go with and not have to worry about, you know, adjusting it. Just gives me speed while on the trail when I need to get rid of these. This is a Dutchwear Gear sit pad. It really doesn't weigh anything. It's just nice to, you know, put this over a log when it's wet and just have a place to sit. I'd rather not bring one of those folding chairs because they're a little too heavy for me, but this is great for the weight. And you know, you can put your feet on it and change your socks or whatever you need to do with this. So it's pretty good. Same theme here. I have a sheet of polycro that I cut up. This is just window insulation. And what I'll do with this is, if it's really wet, I'll just drape this on a log, put the sit pad on it, and this weighs literally nothing. Also, I'll put this under my hammock, and put my shoes, and if I, need to get up for whatever reason, I have a place to stand to change clothes or whatever I need to do with it. My filter system. My filter system changed this year. I went from a Sawyer Mini to a Sawyer Squeeze. Better flow rate, weighs maybe an ounce or two more. I still have 2 1-liter bags like last year. Nothing has changed in that respect, but I definitely like the flow rate better on this thing compared to the Mini. I think it's worth the extra bucks and the extra weight. Also, I took off the cap that they give you stock with it and added my own smart water bottle cap. The reason for that is this is just a little bit lighter, actually, and if you take this cap off and put it on any standard water bottle, you can actually back flush the Sawyer filter without having to bring that plunger. So this works out great. It's a great system for me. Plus I think it just looks cooler with the smart water bottle cap on it. This is just a water bottle that I just cut the bottom off just so I can kind of scoop water out if it's not from like a waterfall or a deep stream. I can just take the cap off of one of the bags, scoop water, and then pour the water into the bags. Very simple stuff, very easy, and doesn't weigh really anything at all. My Outdoor Research helium jacket has been fantastic. I really need to make a review of this, and I think it's coming very, very soon as I have a little bit more time. Never had this thing soak through. It dries incredibly fast. I think my only complaint with this is I wish it came a little bit lower on my waist. But other than that, this thing has been fantastic and well worth the money that I spent on it. Lastly, in the front pocket, I have this Dutchware rain cover. So I will throw this on the pack and it'll keep my pack dry. Now, a lot of people use trash compactor bags or garbage bags inside the pack to keep all their stuff dry, but for this particular pack, it does absorb quite a decent amount of water, to the point where it's a noticeable weight difference even when the pack's on you. So I still use this. I keep it in the bag that it came with. It's really not necessary. It just helps the durability of the rain cover. And this is one of the cheapest and lightest rain covers you can get. It's still nylon, DutchwareGear.com. It's about 20 bucks, I believe. Alright, as far as water storage, I have 2 1-liter smart water bottles with the flip-top caps that you get on the smaller smart water bottles. I used to have a bladder system, and I just tried to switch. I switched on one of my trips, and I actually really like this. I think it's a lot easier than having the water bladder. It doesn't take up the inside pack space like a water bladder does, and you don't have to squeeze the bite valve to, when you stop for lunch or to have dinner or anything. So I know exactly how much water is in my water bottles at all time because I can actually see it, and it's just a really nice system to have. So very cheap, smart water bottles, 1 liter each, so 2 liters total. I keep another little water bottle, a very light water bottle, and I just keep my fuel in. I need a little less than 3 ounces of denatured alcohol, which is what's in here, a day, to rehydrate my meals that I'll have throughout each day. As you can see, this bottle was filled up whenever I did my 5-day hike of the STS, and I still have some fuel left. So very, very cool stuff. I love the little alcohol stoves, which we'll get into in just a second here, but that's how I store my fuel. In that same pocket, I will have a tent stake bag with 4 tent stakes, and on those stakes I have just some Zing-It and some hookworms. I'm sure you've seen me use the hookworms on the trips if you're a follower of the channel, so I won't get into those, but they just help hammock setup. I always carry, on longer trips especially, I always carry this Spot Gen 3. It's just a GPS tracker. It lets my friends and family know that I'm safe, where I'm camping, if I arrived at a parking lot, and they can actually pull up a map, like a Google Maps, and they can see the pings that I leave every 10 minutes, I believe. So this is pretty good. Also, it has the just in case SOS button in case something really bad happens. I have a way out. So let's take care of the top lid. Top lid houses my Headlight Black Diamond Revolt. It's a rechargeable headlamp. I thought I was having a lot of problems with this, and I think I've isolated the problems, and we're going to get into that more in a review, but I believe the batteries that come stock with this, the rechargeable batteries that come stock with this, are really bad. They're probably like, I don't know, 200, 300 milliamps. So I actually put regular AAAs in here and haven't had the issue yet, but we'll get into that in a review. Now, usually I throw all my electronics into one giant bag, because keep in mind I am filming most of these trips, so all the electronics stay in one bag. That bag has a ton of little desiccant packets that kind of absorb humidity and water, so it keeps my electronics from being damaged. But this is a SanDisk Sansa. I have a charging cable, the player, it's just an MP3 player, and a pair of headphones. Also in here are some Heroes, some earplugs, that sometimes I need to throw in if I really can't sleep, if like the woods is being a little too loud for me, or if somebody's snoring next to me. And then inside the top lid, finally, I will have an adjustable declination compass for, again, just in case, or to tell which way the trail is going. Let's dive into the underside of that. In here, I will usually carry my toilet paper, kind of judge how much you need. It really averages each trip. And then also inside here, I will have enough wet ones to basically 2 wipes per day. Wet ones, they're just like antibacterial. You just take a bath in it or wipe yourself with it, and they just make you feel clean, especially after you've been sweating all day. They just help cleaning yourself up a little better than toilet paper. But, you know, ever since I started bringing these, I don't know how I've lived without these. So, wet ones and toilet paper. Also under here, I have my first aid kit. In here, I have a signal mirror, some ibuprofen, an extra lighter, some matches, some Cuban fiber tape for my tarp, some bandages, some gauze. Nothing crazy. I did add some hand and foot balm. During the STS, my feet got incredibly dry and they actually started cracking. It was actually a very painful experience on day 3. And I didn't really have anything I could use except for Vaseline, so cotton balls, which just happened to be my fire starter. But I think this will work out very well. It's non-scented. It's by a company called Rocket Pure. And I put this on when I got back and my feet healed the very next day as far as the cracking go. But these are for dry, damaged, cracked, and blistered hands and feet. So I figure I'll just throw the whole thing in here, especially on longer trips, and kind of just forget about it until I actually need it. Now here is my cook kit. It is a Toaks 700ml pot. It comes with a lid. In here I'll have my, as I throw everything everywhere, in here I'll have my Toaks titanium foldable spoon, which I absolutely love. They did a great design with this. I really, really like it. It's perfect size for me the way I eat. Don't need anything longer, and it weighs practically nothing. I usually put my lighter in there just so I can have easy access to lighting my stove. Here is my stove. This is what I like to bring. I tried the whole canister thing the next trip you're about to see, but I didn't really like it. It was just too loud for me. And I didn't like that you have to float the canister to see how much fuel you have. I like this. I know how much fuel I have all the time because it's in a clear water bottle. But this is quiet. I don't have to, if there's other people at camp with me, I can have some coffee in the morning without waking everybody up. And this only weighs 0.5 ounces, and it's been fantastic. Now these medicine cups that I also bring inside the thing weigh practically nothing. They're pretty durable. And they're exactly 1 ounce, so that's pretty much the fuel I use for a typical backpacking meal, as far as like a mountain house dehydrated meal. And I'll just put everything in here. This is my Toaks titanium windscreen. What I did was I cut this down so it actually fits in my pot. And this is great. This is great. I had I forget what I had last year, but it was a foldable windscreen. It was aluminum. just a little too heavy for what it did, and it was very, very flimsy. But I can just put everything in here and pack everything up and have all my cook kit stuff in one area. This is my food bag. It's just an REI dry sack. Now I did have to replace this, and I'll go over with what I replaced it with at the end of the video. But this is 5 liters. I just needed something bigger. This actually, after 3 years, finally has some holes in it. My interior of the bag was starting to get a little wet, so that's why I replaced it. But in here I will keep all my food, an extra ramen packet just in case I count wrong, or I'm just feeling hungry that day. I'll keep my bear bag line, which is 35 feet of 550 paracord in orange, just so I can see it in the tree. I prefer paracord just because it's easy on your hands. I tried the whole Zing It thing. It just didn't work for me sometimes. My food bag is heavy, and it just really rips your hands up when you're trying to do it. And I don't like finding a stick that's strong enough to pull it down. I also have a Black Diamond Neutrino. Just because I have a hammock, you never know when you're going to need an extra carabiner. Say your Dutch clip breaks, which we'll get into in just a second. At least I have an extra carabiner that I can use to hook everything up. 35 feet of paracord. We'll also keep an extra gallon Ziploc freezer bag in here for, doesn't matter, say my map gets a hole in it or I need to pick up some extra trash along the trail. Now, I repackage all my Mountain House meals because these meals stock, they're very, very bulky. They're more bulky than they need to be. So what I do is I cut all the Mountain House meals open. I take the contents of the meal with the desiccant packet included. I put it in Ziploc quart-sized freezer bags, and then I'll put the freezer bag in here and reuse this, use this as a cozy to keep everything warm and just eat out of this. Now that way I can just throw this and keep it in the bag, and I can just either burn the Ziploc bag or just pack it out, depending on if I'm having a fire or not. This is my trash bag. I always pack out all my trash if I need to, or I burn it, one of the two, and then this just goes straight in the garbage, so that'll go straight in the garbage. Also in here, I'll have my fire starter, which again is some Vaseline soaked cotton balls. And I also keep one S-bit cube in here just in case I either run out of fuel or I need to start a fire. If it's wet, I will use that cube. And finally, I will have my hygiene kit. In here is my toothbrush, which I cut in half so I can actually fit it in here. Has nothing to do with saving space. I'll have my travel size toothpaste, my Body Glide, and I'll have some hand sanitizer. This is my extra clothes bag. This also ended up having some little holes in it, so I have replaced it with another product, and we'll get into this after the video. But in here, I will store an extra pair of socks, an extra pair of those Darn Toughs, an extra pair of boxers. You've seen these before. These are the Champion C9 boxers. A pair of sleeping socks. Sometimes, I don't want to wear the wet socks I had from the day or the sweaty socks, so I just wear Darn Tough bicycle socks. These are very light, they're semi-warm, and this way I don't rip my quilt with my ridiculous uncut toenails. Also in here, and yeah, I'm still using this, I love it, a black cotton t-shirt to sleep in. I know cotton's kind of frowned on in the hiking community, but at night I don't like wearing my sweaty clothes, and this just smells a lot better than what I wore during the day. And my awesome Ninja Turtle cotton PJs, though I don't think I'll ever sleep in anything other than these. These are awesome. And then this bag is an 8-liter Sil Nylon Sea2summit bag, but like I said, I replaced this, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. As far as rain protection goes when I'm sleeping, this is my Cuban fiber tarp. I don't know why I double the stuff sacks up, but I keep the Cuban fiber tarp in the Cuban fiber bag, but I also keep the Cuban fiber tarp in these mesh snake skins I got from wildernesslogics.com. On here I have a continuous Dutchwear gear ridgeline. It has a Dutchwear wasp on one side and a Dutchwear hook on the other side. That way I can string it up on some trees, and if it's not quite centered, I can move the prusik knots back and forth. And you may have seen that in a couple of videos. But I'm thinking maybe I can start keeping this in the mesh pocket and save the Cuban fiber bag for something else. But for now it's in here. This Cuban fiber bag really doesn't weigh anything, so it just comes along with me just to keep everything tight. This is my hammock. I made a minor change to this. I had last year a double layer 1.1. I've switched now to a single layer 1.1, and I'll tell you what, the comfort level you get with a single layer compared to a double layer, unbelievable. I thought that it couldn't get any better, but it definitely did. My suspension on here is just a simple cinch buckle suspension. I tried the whole whoopee sling thing and tried it a couple times actually with different gear, but it's just not for me. It's just so much easier to just throw your cinch buckles around a tree and lock them in with a Dutchwear clip. This is my new hammock gear pillow. It's filled with down. It also has this piece of shock cord on it, so I can attach this to a prusik knot on the ridge line, and I can, this way it doesn't slide behind my back if I'm moving. It just stays at a constant angle with my head. Now, this ended up getting wet, and we're going to talk about this at the end of the video and some things I tweaked and learned after the hike. But this ended up getting wet, and it smelled horrible. I don't know what it is. Maybe this thing has some DWR finish that just stinks when it gets wet, but I couldn't even use this. It smelled so bad. It was just horrible. The product itself is comfy. It's very well designed, but I did get something to replace this as well. Now, in a hammock, you will need both a top cover and an undercover, known as a top quilt and underquilt. This is my underquilt. It's a 30-degree enlightened equipment quilt. I've attached a Night Eyes number 2 S-beaner to kind of just hook it onto my suspension on both ends. And this is great. Sometimes it's a little hot and temperatures over 60 degrees or so. So possibly next year I might consider getting a 40 or even maybe a 50-degree 3/4 length underquilt. I think I'm going to play around with it. I think I'm going to bite the bullet and buy one for next year. Just because I can lower my weight and I can lower the bulk of this by simply just trying something that's rated more closely to a temperature that I'll be camping in. But this is great for normal 3-season weather, spring and fall. It's fantastic. I just think I need something a little lighter for the summer when it gets really hot. Because right now I just basically don't even use it, or it's wide open and not even cinched down. But that quilt is by Enlightened Equipment, and I keep it in the stuff sack that they give you. Another product by Enlightened Equipment is my 40-degree top quilt. The range in this is good from anywhere from, I say, 35 degrees all the way up to 62, 63 degrees. After that, again, it starts getting a little hot. So what I've added this year was this Costco $20 packable throw. And it's just a standard quilt. It's very nice. The temperature range for this is about, I'd say, 52 degrees and up. I just got back using this on a trip where it got down to 58, and it was fantastic. I was actually a little warm even at that temperature when it was cinched all around me. So Costco, $20, down packable throw. I have a video about this. You can watch it right over here. But whenever it's colder, I will just use this Enlightened Equipment 40-degree quilt. And the cool thing about this is that it has a zipper on the one end. And what I can do is I can join those two ends together, lock these two buttons, these two snaps, and I can cinch down the one end and turn this into a little foot box that I can just wrap around my body, just like just like a mummy bag. And then I can take this side, put it around me, and cinch the front down as well. It's very warm. It works out fantastic. I really like Enlightened equipment products. They do a great job. Now, because it was a low of 46 degrees on one of the nights, I did take this new piece of gear. I did buy a down jacket that actually fits me this year. I was using a Marmot something or other. I completely forget what it is now. I think it was called the Zeus. But it was a little small for me. I don't know if I like bulked up just a little bit here. Maybe I just got fat. I don't know. But this is a Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer. It's very expensive. And I would never tell anyone to buy this, but I got this 50% off. So it was a great deal for me, and it's very, very warm. It's not a winter jacket by any means whatsoever, but it is very, very warm for 3-season weather. And it packs down very small and stows in its own pocket. Now, before I got the Costco quilt, this is what I was using. This is a Cocoon silk mummy liner. And in temperatures from 62 to 71, 72 degrees, where I won't need any kind of insulation on the top of me, I was just draping this over top of me, and this was working out great. Just something to take the chill out of the air. Plus, this is only like a couple ounces, and it packs down to next to nothing. So this was a great addition this year. I actually used this last year, but I used this a lot more on some of my summer trips this year. And there's my extra socks that I was looking for. The pack itself is an Osprey Exos 48 liter. I've never had an issue with this pack. I've been using this for about 2 years now. I finally have gotten a very, very small hole starting in the mesh right here at the bottom. But Osprey has a lifetime warranty, satisfaction guaranteed, where I think I'm just going to send it back in the winter when I'm not using this. Get this fixed or re-sewn or whatever they're going to do, and then I'll have it pretty much brand new for next year. Other than that, I've had no issues. There's no really wear and tear on any of the other pieces except for the mesh. And I might have snagged this on something because we were going through a lot of thorny trail conditions on the STS. Now, a couple things I did forget to throw back in the pack. I've washed all this stuff, obviously, but the buff. If you've seen any of my videos, I always wear this thing. I really, really like it. It doesn't weigh a whole lot. It's very comfortable. You'll usually see me wear this as like a bandana, like a little pirate's hat kind of thing. It keeps the sun off the back of my neck, keeps the sun off of my head. If it's really cold out, what I'll do is I'll put it on like this, twist the top around a couple times, and then fold it back over top of my ears, and it'll double as like a skull cap, just keep my head warm. You can use it to, wet during the day to kind of wipe sweat off your arms, or take a bath, whatever. So a buff, love it. I have this, it's called a lock sack bag. And what this is, it's like a really durable Ziploc gallon freezer bag, but it's smell proof. So what I'll end up doing with this is I'll throw all my food that I'm going to use during the day, whether it be snacks or lunch or breakfast or whatever. I'll throw it all in here, and I'll keep it in the top lid for easy access. That way I don't have to open my food bag during the day, and I really don't have to worry about animals smelling this and, getting curious and coming my way. Another thing I didn't talk about was my little Dutchware Gear Big Carl pack hanger. And what you do with this is you put this around a tree, you run it, there's a little loop on one end, you run the whole piece of string through the loop. So if you think of my hand as a tree, so it's like this, you put the one end through your carry strap on your pack, and then you hook it back onto where it goes around the tree, and then you have a little pack hanger. It's good to keep your pack up off the ground at night. You could actually hang it from your suspension this way pretty easily, and it only weighs like 0.2 ounces. it's worth the carry weight, especially when it's going to be wet and you just want to keep it up off the ground. And then finally, I always bring a knife. I've kind of shied away from using this period, but this is just a Gerber folding knife. It weighs, I think, 3 ounces maybe. You know, just in case, say I need to do some feather sticks, or you know, if I'm gonna whittle at camp. I don't really know. I just like having this just for peace of mind, really. Now let's talk about things that I have tweaked since getting back from the 5-day STS trip. One thing immediately that I needed was another dry bag for my food. So I got a Sea2summit. This is a nylon bag. It's a little more durable, more hefty than sil nylon, and this is a 13 liter. So this is almost double the size food bag. That way I won't have to use my clothes bag in conjunction with my food bag, which is what I ended up doing. And it's wider, which is good because I run out of space vertically, but I still have space horizontally. So it's a little bit wider. The cinch system is still the same, and it still has the loop that I like to use on the carabiner when I hang my food. But 13 liter Sea2summit Dry Bag, and I got it in yellow this time because sometimes green was hard to see. Yellow is just like, stands out like a sore thumb. Another thing I did was, when it started raining on days 1 and 2, I noticed some of my gear was actually wet, and I think what happened was my rain cover wasn't totally covering the bottom of this pack, and the rain kind of just soaked in. I mean, it was pouring. So what I've done, I finally did it. I've talked about doing this for years now, but I finally added a garbage bag into my setup. So what will happen with this is, before I pack any gear, I will put this garbage bag inside, and all of my gear will go inside the garbage bag. That way it provides at least another layer of waterproofness to the bag, instead of just relying solely on the rain cover. Because I'll be honest, I got my top quilt semi-wet, and my sleeve of my jacket was pretty soaked. Now, luckily they dried out overnight and I was perfectly fine, but you know, had it been a little colder, we would have had a big problem. So definitely learn my lesson. Definitely just throw this in your pack. It's not an inconvenience. I just got back trying this from Zaleski State Forest, and it is a great idea. I wish I would have done it sooner and not had to learn the hard way, which is what I seem to do with all these hiking pieces of gear that I buy. Now, I told you about the Hammock Gear pillow that I really wasn't. I mean, it's comfortable, don't get me wrong, it's very, very comfortable, but it takes up a little too much pack space, and I just wanted something similar to my Cocoon air pillow without having a lot of weight. Well, I needed a clothes bag anyway. So there's a company called Zpacks, and they specialize in a lot of Cuban fiber gear. And what I decided was, I will get the food bag in nylon. That way I can throw it up in the tree and it won't get abrased. Cuban fiber has a tendency to get abrased. And not right off the bat, but over time it definitely wears out. Now what this is a Cuban fiber dry bag for your clothes. The cool thing about this is I can flip this inside out, and there's actually fleece lining one of the sides. So here's the Cuban fiber side, here's the fleece side. The fleece is very, very comfortable, and it's sewn right into the bag. Now what I can do with this is I can take some clothes, fold this layer down, and there's Velcro on this bag, and I can just Velcro this side shut, and now I have a pillow. Now there's no piece of shock cord on it to attach to your ridgeline, but that really didn't bother me before. I just kind of thought it might have been a good idea. But just try this on a trip. It is fantastic. You'll see more in the video that I'll post within the next couple weeks or so. But this is a great idea, I think. It saves me the weight of a pillow and also acts as a dry bag, and it's honestly not that much more than what a dry bag would normally cost if it was still nylon. I don't see this giving me any problems. The Cuban fiber that they use is very thick, and it weighs practically nothing. So Cuban fiber Pillow Dry Bag by Zpacks. And you know, in the morning when I'm ready to leave and I want waterproofness, you know, I simply fold the bag the other way, turn it inside out, Velcro it shut, and then roll the sides down. And again, it has that clip. So just a standard dry bag, but it's Cuban fiber and has a fleece liner in it. And then finally, a real small adjustment I did is I wanted a more durable tent stake bag, and Zpacks had this, and basically I threw this on and pretty much got it for free because I was getting close to free shipping, and I was paying more in shipping than it would have costed just to buy one of these. So I bought a Cuban fiber tent stake bag for really no reason at all but to save money on the shipping. So this is pretty good. I mean, it really doesn't weigh a thing. It feels more durable than my other one, and it takes up less space, so whatever. Cuban fiber tent stake bag. I don't know. I sound like an addict when I'm talking about this gear stuff, but this is just what I love to do. So guys, if you have any questions about any of the gear, I think my total base weight is under, I want to say like 11 pounds now. And, you know, I just feel great hiking with this. I'm really comfortable with all my gear. I made a couple tweaks here and there every year, and, you know, I just kind of stay up to date with the new gear that's coming out, or try to at least. So guys, if you have any questions about any of the gear you've seen in this video, don't hesitate to ask, let me know, comment, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks guys for watching, have fun out there, and I'll see you on the trail.